2017 BMW IBSF World Bobsleigh Championships continues at Königssee in Bavaria, the oldest artificial track on the planet. And today, Saturday, we start our two-man competition. Good morning, everybody. Thank you again for joining us here in the heart of Bavaria. Martin Haven and alongside me, John Morgan, ready for the first of 4 runs in the two-man bobsleigh competition. And John, this track, as it proved yesterday, is tricky to get the time out.
It's a short track. It's got a luge personality. The bobsledders been here for their 4th World Championships, and you know, it's real tricky down below. And 13 curves, only 1,300 meters, but they're tricky. Melbardis, well, they own the track record in a lot of places, no surprise. It's a steep start, people get in quick. Get down, this first curve is a little bit of a problem for some teams. If you hit this takeout too hard, you can lose a lot of velocity. Now we go into this 4-corner combination. They call it the snake pit or the Schellengrube here in Germany. It's like a Disney ride. I mean, it's unbelievable. Then you shoot yourself out. You think into a straightaway. It's not a straightaway. It's a bend around. It snakes around. Then you hit this Jenna curve. Now into this 360-degree turbodrome, the Kreisel. It exits downhill, shoots you into this labyrinth, that probably the most dangerous section of the track, and into the, you know, the bottom part of the track, 80 miles an hour, top speeds. Eckelwand, you exit uphill. This is the graveyard on the track. You make any mistakes going uphill at the end, you could probably have a good chance of losing a medal just in the last 100 meters.
Johannes Lochner holds the track record here with Joshua Bloom. His mum and dad are in the grandstands. We saw Joshua Bloom with his family last night having dinner just at the bottom of the track. And they, as Bavarians, are looking to try and turn over Francesco Friedrich, the reigning and multiple world champion. We've got a really close race on our hands here. All sorts of contenders to throw into the action. Don't forget, after two-man get underway today, we will finish our 4-man race this afternoon. You saw Stephen Holcomb, who's really peaking this season, and Oscars Melbardis as well, having hit a breakout year. Kibermanis, rather. Nico Walter, and the maybe spent force that is Beard Hefty.
There's our 3-time consecutive world champion, chasing down Eugenio Monti. There's another formidable German, Nico Walter. But Friedrich has got 3 straight. Monti won 5 straight. Monti won his when he was 29 years old to start. Friedrich started when winning at age 22.
Yep.
So this is a pretty epic day in the history of the sport.
We have a big start list as well. Nick Polagnato of Canada gets lucky start draw number 1 of 36 sleds. And just to remind you, in the World Championships, it's a 4-heat race, 2 today, 2 on Sunday, and we only cut the field to the fast 20 for the final 4th slide. So anybody who safely completes the course will go back and go again. So we have all 36 sleds ready to go. Some new names, some debutants, and some very well-known. The two-man bobsleigh World Championships for 2017 will get underway with Nick Polagnato of Canada, the 29-year-old originally from Hamilton, Ontario. 36-year-old Neville Wright, the brakeman, back from 2 years where he completed his college degree. He's from Edmonton, Alberta, 100-meter sprinter.
Nick's had a pretty good year. You know, he won one of the Canadian trial races to get himself into this top 3 in the Canadian program, and he's the rabbit. 485 start. That's a great start. The track record's 477. We're going to see a track record here at the start before we're done here in the first heat.
Well, we could well do. It was a little frosty overnight after it finished raining. It's been clear this morning onto the long, bending straightaway.
He was drifting. He didn't hit the walls, but he was definitely a racing time. 113 clicks. This is a quick track today.
Yes, it is. That's a 70.5 mile an hour entry speed into the 270-degree Kreisel, picking up speed all the way down here to this big sweeping echo curve.
This track's quick.
These are good lines from Polagnato as well.
He's first man down. Needs to take advantage of this.
76 miles an hour.
49.62. 50 hundredths off the track record. I don't know. I think there's a chance. I think Nick was 35 to 40 hundredths behind in practice. Have to, you know, he's the first guy down. He's got the best ice to work with. Here's out of the snake pit. 4S's into the straightaway. He finds a way to get through there, but skidding.
Yeah, a little bit of pressure off the Schlangengruber.
Former Bishop's University football player from Canada.
First of our huge field of two-man sleds ready to go. Next up is Dong-Young Kim of Korea, the 29-year-old graduate student from Seoul. One World Championship appearance under his belt. He was 22nd in last year's two-man competition. In the race here in January, he was 19th.
Yeah, he did pretty good. He was 6th in Whistler, 7th in Lake Placid. After that, he hasn't gotten the top 10. And
27-year-old brakeman Younglin Yun gets in like a bag of potatoes, landing from a big height.
There's a hard entry on the curve one. Speed considerably off the Canadians, but they're also 700s back at the start. And these are Hyundai sleds. This is not what they were driving in the first events of the year. Hard hit out of the snake pit in the 4S's. Disney World curves, as I call them. 114.3 is better speed.
Yep. 71 miles an hour on the nose. Oh, little late exit into the labyrinth. Rocking and rolling down there. We saw one crash in yesterday's women's race. Took out the top Russian, the 4th seeded driver.
Best speed.
But he's 1/6 of a second back. Yeah, 2900s at the line.
The coaches look on. Eric Allard, the French coach, now coaching the Koreans, former world champion bronze medalist in 1995 in Winterberg. And Kim can only think of the exit of the 4S's. You know, here's the exit of Kreisel, late there. Now he comes over. Let's see if he squares it up. The back runner's in the air. The right one is, yep. And he didn't get through there clean. Might have erased some of his good speed.
Don't forget, with over 30 sleds in the field, 36 sleds, 16 won't get a final run. Who will be among them? Well, possibly this man, veteran Simone Bertazzo. Brand new helmet today. He didn't even use that in training. The Italian always looks like he's got the weight of the world on his shoulders when he's walking the track. Saw him this morning. 34-year-old in what is potentially his penultimate season, I think.
Oh, Brakeman picked up the sled. You saw the left groove come up, so the energy was going up, not out. He won't get a good start. He'll have the 3rd best start, 1900s back. Let's see how far back they are. Oh, 55.8, that's way back in speed, but you know, great entry into the first curve. This is another athlete who's won a world championship medal. 2007, a bronze in Switzerland. Look at the lines, as good as it's going to get. This is textbook right here. 2 hits, that's the norm. 112.7, way off the pace, but that's related to he had no acceleration at the start. And look at the lines down below. Just perfect, like a video game. It's too bad that this veteran Italian can't achieve any starts anymore. 121.2. 40 hundredths back, yeah, 50 hundredths back. He's going to be a full second by the time this is done, and he'll struggle to get into that second, get into that top 20.
Yeah, he'll definitely struggle to get into the top 20 today, and tomorrow might be even more compound. 21-year-old brakeman Matteo Variola in his 2nd World Championships. But Simone Bertazzo, bronze in the two-man worlds back in 2007, his best two-man World Championship appearance.
Look at the brakeman lift the sled up. Energy is going out. It's putting the pressure on the nose. The nose is going farther into the grooves. That slows down the velocity. That's a bad start technique there. Good entry into the sled. No start, no chance.
You can imagine how keyed up everybody is at the start of the World Championships. What about this man, Beat Hefty? Well, in the last 7 races on this track, we've had 7 different winners. He won here back in 2011-12 season. Beat Hefty, a multiple 2-man and 4-man World Championship medalist, both as a brakeman and as a driver, and Olympic medalist as well.
Silver medal in Sochi a couple years ago, 3 years ago. So, but another athlete in the twilight of his career, his mark on the sport was start times. Here he's got a great start. That's something we didn't see out of him. 2nd best start, best velocity into the sled. So good job by him and his brakeman.
Well, this is his new man, 25-year-old Michael Quonen.
Yeah, this is a good start. He had good times in practice, but he should be ahead. and pulling Otto by at least 2,500s down here at the bottom to challenge for the top 10. 113.8. That's not the same speed the Koreans have.
Not quite as quick, 70.7 miles an hour. Half a tenth of a second is the lead over Nick Polonyato.
Speed, let's see what he does here.
Well, he needs to be half a second clear of Polonyato to be able to challenge for medals, and he's going to be barely a tenth in front. 200ths of a second in front.
Same exact speed as Nick Polonyato at the bottom.
Yeah.
You know, and the question is Hefty doing what he's done the last month? No, I think that's a better, but I don't know. Polonyato is
that's a much
18,
better start
20th.
than we've seen.
Yeah, but a much better start, but the downtime should have been a quarter second better. But another athlete in the twilight of his very, very successful bobsled career.
Yeah.
That spans from 2001, 2002. There's our dartfish. Look at the difference as they come through there.
Yeah, Polonyato actually with a slightly tidier line than they at Hefty. Hefty was waving up and down a little bit more, and that is kind of related to the speed you carry in. Well, one of Germany's big hopes, perhaps in the four-man more, might be Nico Walter. Eric Frankr's 27-year-old brakeman.
Yeah, he's got a really negative attitude about two-man. He's got no results this year. His best result was he has 15th, 6th, 13th, 4th in St. Moritz. But he's sort of given up the two-man, sort of talking
nice
about
load from these guys, and a 491 start. We'll see his
best
two
velocity.
Go
Look at
quicker.
that, though.
Yeah,
third
very
best
good.
start, best velocity. So Nico said, you know, well, I'm just using this as a warm-up for the four-man, getting my trips in, much like backs aren't. Boy, in this day and age, you got to be good at both, 2 and the 4. So I'm a little disappointed in him, sort of giving up the two-man, because he's a very formidable pilot. 114.3. Well, that's the best speed. Ties the best speed coming through there with the Koreans.
Only 13th here in the race just 3 weeks ago in January. His best two-man world championship result was in Winterberg. He was in 10th place 2 seasons ago.
Look at this. He's going to do it. 122.7. He's going to take over the lead here in the last 20 meters.
But he has to dip to the line to get ahead of Nick Polonyato of Canada, and no disrespect to Polonyato, but he is not as experienced here or generally as Nico Walter. Nico Walter, before he was a bobsled, there was a double junior world champion.
Walter's
in doubles
ranked
luge.
11th in World Cup points. Polinato's ranked 21st.
Yeah.
But Polinato's also missed one race. But hey, good lines. Speed after the Schallengruber. You could see exact same speed that the German and the Swiss sleds had, but the Swiss sled had a much better start. He had a 500ths better start. But Nico?
Yeah, well, he's got a little smile on his face, which is always a good thing, especially when you're opening the track for this man, the triple reigning world champion Francesco Friedrich, with Torsten Margis behind him. And these are the men that everybody has to beat.
78.
Wow,
That's 100th off the record. Hello. 57.4. Wow. And these, you know, these two right here, both decathletes. One of the backs, the highest ranking decathlete in the field with 7,807 points.
Friedrich already has no fewer than 8 World Championship gold medals under his belt at the junior and senior level. 71.6
he's
miles
getting
an hour.
close to the record.
Track record 49.12. He's already a third of a second in front.
Not going to do it. He's going to be by within 10 to the track record.
He could lead by nearly half a second at the bottom of the track.
4,400.
300s away from the track record.
300s off the track record for what a first heat down for the guy who's won 3 straight world championships. Again, we highlighted Monty won 5 straight world championships. Monty started when he was 29. Friedrich started when he was 22.
And by that time, he already had 3 junior world titles, 2 two-man and a 4-man under his belt.
The lines, look at the back end of the sled, look at the transition. Well, when you have the best start, and then you drive down, and you have some of the best equipment, you usually are the leader.
We saw Torsten Margis jubilant, leaping out of the back of the sled. He knew it was a good start, and he felt it was a good drive. Francesco Friedrich leads Nico Walter. We are in the beginning of our 4 heats of the two-man bobsleigh World Championships. 6 sleds down, 30 more to go in this first heat. 7th of our starters, the first time we see a Latvian sled. It's a 23-year-old junior. This is Oskars Kibamanis, a fireman, a decathlete. This is his 3rd World Championships. He was 8th in the two-man in Winterberg 2 seasons ago. That's his best two-man World Championship result.
He had 2 bronze medals, Winterberg, Altenburg, his first medals ever. He also won the four-man event in St. Moritz, 41 speed, 4th best speed, surprised at that. 2nd best start, 4th best speed. Doesn't drive this track like we saw him in Winterberg and Altenburg. 1300s back with excellent lines, speed, decent. He's going to need 114 high change to have a chance, 114 flat. That's not good.
2nd place at the moment on the splits. 70.8 miles an hour is about as close as anyone has got to Francesco Friedrich's speed.
Probably going to be 3500s back. He'll be in 2nd.
Friedrich could easily lead this field by 0.4 of a second at the end of the day.
Speed on the bottom, though.
Ducks his head at the line. He is in 2nd place.
Boy, but he's still only 700ths ahead of Nick Polinato. So I'm telling you, the first guy down on this track had a huge advantage.
Well, from Kibamanis, Nico Valter, Beat Hefty and Nick Polinato, 4 sleds, 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th covered by 700s right now.
Okay, let's watch the transition in the labyrinth. No room for error here. Transition. Look at the climbing the wall and the Kelstein curve. And it's quick and it's tight down there.
We've already seen Beat Hefty, but here is perhaps Switzerland's better hope in the two-man, and a couple of years ago we wouldn't have said that about Rico Peter. 10th in last year's Worlds. Beat Hefty was bronze in last year's Worlds, but things have changed a lot. Beat Hefty was 26th here in January. Rico Peter was 12th in the two-man race. Can he break a top 10 on the first day?
So go figure this out. He was 2nd in the first race of the year in Whistler, one of the toughest tracks on the planet. He was 19th in last week's race in Innsbruck, or 2 weeks ago.
Well, 493 tells you everything you need to know. He's not quite getting the starts that he was getting with Alex Baumann at the beginning of the season.
He's got a bad back.
Yeah, he has too.
He's limping into the final part of the season, but you know, there's no time off. This event, 4-man next week, and then we go to Pyeongchang, Korea. We saw the luge pictures from Pyeongchang this morning.
World Championship bronze medalist last year in the 4-man, Rico Peter.
He's pretty good speed.
Yeah.
38 back. He's got a chance to get in the top 3.
He's only on 6th position at the moment on the split time, so this isn't the run he was hoping for to open his account. But 4-man should go better for him. And at the line, 4th place, so he recovers down below the Kreisel.
Tied. He's tied to Hefty to a 100th of a second.
Wow, nothing between the two Swiss. Well, Hefty, 26.
There's the most famous Swiss right there in the black jacket with silver hair. Hans Hildebrand, he's got 3 World Championship titles in 77, 87, and also in 82. 2 2s and a 4.
That new brakeman for Hefty has made a big difference. 3 weeks ago, Hefty was 26th here in the two-man, and Rico Peter was 12th, and now they're tied.
The S's, look at the speed. Friedrich just crushed Peter.
2 kilometers.
Kilometer, just unbelievable. Relative to the speed, or the start, but still, he manufactured some speed down there too. Uh-oh.
Well, here's the 3rd of our German sleds, and this is the local hero, Johannes Lochner, with Joshua Blum. Both families are in the grandstands right beside us. You'll see them. Lochner, a real hope for the two-man and the four-man here on his home track.
He's been suffering with a nasal congestion, sick. He took 2 practice trips on Tuesday, didn't take any on Wednesday, took 1 on Thursday, went to bed, and he lives a mile down the track.
Silver medalist in last year's two-man World Championships. He was also the team gold medalist in Eagles with the other members of that German team.
Speed, nothing like his teammate, but of course he didn't get a start like his teammate.
Only 4th on the split times.
4-heat race.
Now up to 3rd. He's got to close as much as he possibly can on Friedrich.
Speed. 2nd best speed. He's going to rocket into 2nd.
He'll be ahead of Oskars Kibamanis, not by much, 400ths of a second.
Boy, but he had the 5th best start. He usually, when he won here, 3 weeks ago, he had the second best start. So he's sick. He's still that, you know, one thing is when you're sick, you can't train, you can't lift weights, you can't sprint.
And you can't just go and take something.
He knows a start.
Now this is the exit of the S4.
Should be.
Gets clean away from the wall.
Little tap.
Hits it late.
That cost him. Skidded around the bend around. And here's the two German sleds. Look at the difference. Comparison. Friedrich.
With a fractionally tighter line, but Johannes Lochner feeling like death warmed up at the moment. First of our Korean sleds, last year's World Cup champion in two-man, Yoon Jung-won, the 31-year-old, though, has hit the skids. One medal this season, that was the opener in Whistler. Nothing since. They are in free fall.
He won this event last year in February, last event of the year. Won the World Cup title. Came out at Whistler, medaled. We said, wow, the Koreans are good. Bang. They have fallen off the map with results.
The new sleds are taking time to learn whether they're good or bad. It still takes time to get your head around it, and he still doesn't know how to get the best out of this.
Hard hit. 2400's back, not bad. Sixth. Gonna need 114 middle speed. He's got that. Brakeman's head shake there, the couple pressure points. Now how smooth can he get down here? Nice.
He really needs to turn his season around, and this might be a good time to do it.
He gets the top 3 speed, 4th speed, 122.8. He could be top 4. It's real close where he's going to end up.
He hasn't been in the top 6 since Altenburg, the first race of the new year, and he's in 8th place.
But he's only 10 hundredths out of 3rd.
Yeah, after one heat. That could be 4 tenths out of 3rd by the end of the race.
But remember, Keeper Manus went 3rd down the track. This is the 8th sled, so they're all going to be bunched up. We're going to take a look at the start. How you get in the sled is so important. The Koreans, with all the power they have, watch the way the brakeman gets in the sled here. Run his hands a little bit. If you look at the size of it, I mean, from the hips down, nobody's bigger. And then here on the exit of the 4 S's, a little early. That cost him some speed. Ivo Delevic, the coach.
Francesco Friedrich, Johannes Lochner, Oskars Kiebermanis top the table with the first 10 of our 36 sleds down in the Men's World Championship. Two-man bobsleigh worlds, 11th of 36 sleds, and we get to our second Canadian, Justin Cripps, with Jesse Lumsden, who returned after a 2-year hiatus this year, fresh and fast. Lumsden a winner on this track in 2012-13 with Lyndon Rush driving, who's now coaching the team.
Well, there's a little story that the Canadians lost a set of runners last weekend in the paid training on Friday and Saturday, and rumor has it those are the race runners that he won on here 2 years ago and had a bronze medal with the same runners in the event here last year. But the Canadians did pretty good in training all week. And he's got the second best time in the exit of Chrysler, but no speed.
70.7 is a mile-an-hour slower than the race leader.
Still doing good. I mean, maybe the backup runners are as good as the race runners.
Well, maybe it's all in the head. Maybe he believes they are. Second place on the split times. Really good run.
Good speed. 10th best speed, though.
Where is that speed? He's still in second. That's a really good run from Justin Cripps. Well, Lyndon Rush looks at that and he's got a strange look on his face, and as all season, John, the Canadians driving well and the speed just falling off the sled.
Well, the straight, the bend around, it's so important here. This was pretty good job. Look at his runners. He's trying to keep out of that wall. He's just trying to feather it over there. He took 3 hits. You're supposed to take 2. You know, didn't have good speed. And a little confusing that he's the second best at the bottom. But Cripps will take it. He hasn't had this type of top in a long time.
Benny Meyer of Austria, 22-year-old soldier, started his career as a skeleton athlete. Then he was a brakeman, now driving the sled with Marcus Sammer behind him. Well, this two-man result, 3rd in his home track at Eagles just a few weeks ago.
I think he was 3rd here, too.
7th here the last time we were here.
Yeah, you're right. Excuse me.
9th in last year's World Championships. I mean, he has come on in leaps and bounds in the last season and a half.
Well, I was talking about him. Look at the lines right there. Perfect. He's doing pretty good. He's going to need 114 high speed to have a chance.
Little skiddy at the bottom.
113.5. That's not going to do it for a top 5, maybe an 8, maybe a top 10.
5th fastest start. He's in 6th position on the splits.
Speed in the bottom. He's going to have to have top 4 speed here.
Sled is always fast at the bottom of the track.
Speed.
That may not help him. He's drifting away again.
There's a lot of people.
7th,
45,
8th, 9th at the line.
Look at this. There are 4th to 10th separated by 1000ths.
Yep.
There's 7 sleds in there.
Racked up. We're going to stick a few more in there as well. Benny Myers, first World Championships here in the juniors. He was a brakeman for another Austrian driver, Markus Treichel, who's also racing here today.
Pretty good lines. Little skid there before he gets to the Jenna curve. Doesn't take much to erase speed.
Well, next up is the USA's Steve Holcomb, 36-year-old Olympic gold medalist in 4-man, bronze medalist in 2 and 4, last time out in the Olympic Games in Sochi.
Carlos Valdez, the UCLA javelin thrower on the back.
Carlo, this is his 3rd World Championships, and he's been in the 2 and 4-man with Holcomb at every one of those races. Steaming like racehorses here in the start area.
Well, he had the 17th and 19th best start times in the race 3 weeks ago. Then he got a silver medal in. If he gets any kind of decent start here, that's the 12th best start of 13 sleds. But the 9th best velocity, so that's a positive. Now we watch, people are calling a modern musician, or music, the way he drives a sled. Hits, that's the norm. Speed 115.2. Wow. Only person that had speed like that was Francisco Friedrich.
That is as fast as Friedrich. Friedrich's speed at the bottom, 77.2 miles an hour.
This is what Holcomb does.
Really got his head around this BMW Sled.
54 back though.
Top speed just a fraction behind, but still struggling to get into the top 10.
Well, the start, when you have a start time that's 2200ths behind, you're going to be 6600ths behind at the bottom. He was only 56.
So Carlo just tapping himself on the head there, disappointed with that start.
Well, that's what he did here a couple weeks ago when he tied for a silver medal with Friedrich. That's not what the Americans wanted to see.
Not what Holcomb wanted to see either. Summer of rehab saw him start the season not quite as strong as he wanted to be. He's getting better and better as the year goes on. Next up, first of our Russian sleds. This is Alexei Stulnev, the 29-year-old driver, and Maxim Eduardovich Belugin behind him, his 31-year-old brakeman, a former shot putter. Last World Championships here, he was with Alexander Kazyanov. He was 4th in both the 2 and the 4-man in the Olympic Games. Max Belugin.
Well, his driver was 4th here 3 weeks ago. When they had the event here, his best World Cup finish ever in 2-man.
Belugin was on the sled with him then as well.
And then he went out the next day in the 4-man and had a bronze medal, his first ever World Cup medal. So Stulnev has had a very accomplished season.
Little right into turn 1, got dinked up the wall. Here in the S's, you can see just how close everybody gets. Leaning on the side of the track. Great run onto the bend away.
But he has, like Holcomb, real negative start. 115 speed, potentially. 115.2, just like Holcomb. Both of these guys can find speed. They just have negative start times, and it costs them on this track. It's a short 1,300-meter track, and they just run out of track at the bottom.
11th on the splits. So he's vying with Holcomb. Now he's out to 12th position.
Ducks his
at
head.
the line behind Holcomb by 0.03 of a second. There's your Olympic champion from Sochi in 2 and 4-man in the black hat. He's now coaching the Russian team, Alexander Zubkov. Alexei Stulnev, 12th place. And again, they are racked up from Lochner in 3rd to Stulnev is less than 0.2 of a second.
You know, the way you get through this Kreisel, there's look at the distance comparison. You know, a straight line. Look at that. It's a Stolnev. It took him half a meter longer to get through there. And that's probably why he lost a lot of time at the bottom. There's different ways you can get through that Kreisel. The less space you travel, the better off you are.
Alexander Kasyanov for Russia, 33-year-old, started his career in luge. First World Championships here was back in 2011. He was 17th in the two-man, 10th in the four-man, which is definitely likely to be his better discipline here.
Well, he's third in World Cup points, but he has a suspect start also. Look at that. Like Holcomb, 12th best start, like his teammate. Stolnev, they both had 97s. Holcomb had a 5 flat. But Kasyanov will find 115-kilometer speed, most likely, down in the Kreisel. Look at the lines. Quiet as steering, as we're going to see.
10th here 3 weeks ago in the World Cup race, but his best two-man World Championship result is 15th.
Nowhere near the speed Holcomb or his teammate, and of course what Friedrich had. 4,900s back, though.
Oh, he's right around the 71 miles an hour mark that almost everybody else was getting to, but he's in 13th place.
Track's got nothing left in it.
Yeah, he's going to be another couple of hundreds behind Stolnev, and he is. He's 400s behind the Stolnev, and the last 3 sleds have been sort of 300 or 400s apart from each other.
The track starting to fall away a little bit right here.
Looks like it. And we're only 15 sleds into a 36 deep field. Yeah. Yep.
Not happy with that. Third in World Cup points.
Down there in the lower labyrinth.
That's
how
under the
far
Kelstein
away he is.
curve.
Yeah. Yep. Disappointed Alexander Kasyanov.
A lot of sad faces down here right in front of us. We're got a
So
great
who
vantage
is going to
point.
produce a run that goes against the grain? It might not be Latvia's Uga Zalims, 15th in last year's World Championships, although he was 9th here 3 weeks ago. The 30-year-old, his best World Championship result in two-man, 6th in Winterberg a couple of seasons ago, so he's got it in him.
9th. His best result of the season was
That was here.
5th in Winterberg.
487, so that's a good start now. That's a 10th faster than we saw from Kasyanov and Stolnev, and 1300s quicker than Holcomb. Will that parlay itself into a better result at the bottom?
His teammate, who's in 4th, at decent speed, 114 and change speed, so he's going to need 114 and change, no, 113 speed. Now that is going to sentence him probably to 14th, 15th spot.
Well, that's a mile an hour away from any of the other front runners, never mind Francesco Friedrich. Zalim's 7th best start. He'll be lucky
16th best speed.
if he doesn't double that at the bottom. He is already in 14th place at the line. Wow. So that extra speed didn't help him at all at the start.
No.
Well, it didn't hinder him, but it wasn't enough.
Your only acceleration point, you got gravity and your start. That's the pedal to the metal. And if you don't have a lot of acceleration in that first 50 meters, you really have a disadvantage coming down these narrow, tricky parts of the track here in Königssee.
Well, Justin Olsen from the USA. Last year in the World Championships, he was a forerunner for the two-man competition. He was 29th in the race here in January. The 29-year-old former Olympic brakeman with Evan Weinstock, you can see there from Las Vegas, the decathlete behind him. What can these guys produce? First thing they need is an epic Olsen-Weinstock start to get them in the frame.
Nice.
And that's a good getaway.
Third best start.
And top speed out of the first corner, and that's really indicative of how well these guys are training now.
This is a real challenging track, though, for Justin Olsen. He'll be the first one to admit. That's the first guy. He's had that problem. If the coaches say he gets out of the S's, he'll be okay. Well, he didn't get out of the S's there.
And that's exactly the kind of drift competition line that he had in the race here in January.
Yeah. So this is just a learning curve he's on. He's an unbelievable athlete, two-time world champion with Steve Holcomb as a brakeman in a four-man competition. 6,500's back. He's gone from 4th to 15.
10th best speed after first best speed at the first corner. A shake of the head from Brian Scheimer.
He just can't get out of the S's. They all stand down. They all go to training. They all go down there. Video. All the coaches are standing in all the S corners. He just can't get out of the S's. That's the worst line we've seen so far. And he, you know, if he gets out of the S's, he's going to have a top 10 run. Well, watch him come over to the left side of our screen. He's way over on that side of the wall. And then that means bang, and now he's training. Oh, now what? You think that's probably the worst line we've seen. He didn't try and steer away from it. He took it, but by that's half second.
The problem there is when you steer, then you just compound the problem.
He's going to have problems making the cut.
Next up for Great Britain, another Olympic brakeman turned driver, Bruce Tasker, like Justin Olsen in his second season of driving, the 29-year-old from Pembrokeshire, with Joel Fearon behind him. Brakeman born in Coventry now lives in Loughborough.
Should be another great start.
4th in last year's World Championships in the two-man in Innsbruck in Austria.
Should be low 80s.
Joel Fearon, the 3rd fastest 100 meters ever recorded by a British sprinter.
10th best velocity.
Wow.
How do you figure that?
These guys, Joel Fearon just coming back into form. These guys haven't raced together a lot.
Nice,
but that's a good exit. Tasker's definitely starting to get a handle on the driving, isn't he?
Yeah. 4th in last year's Worlds on an easy track. This is not
at the start. He's up to 4th on the splits.
1:13.4, not great speed. He's
good exit, keeping what he's got alive.
Could be a top 5, top 6 run here.
Wow, so there is somewhere speed in this track. He's still in 4th place on the splits. Gets a good exit uphill from the Ecovant. And at the line, 16 speed.
10.
Wow.
That's okay. That's okay. He's 49. From 4th to 10th is 900ths of a second.
Yep.
Long, and all those guys that are in front of him all went earlier than him. Tasker can catch them in the next 2.
Well, and you're right, he is only 1300ths out of a medal as well. 1300ths away from bronze.
So that's all related to the track conditions.
2/10 from silver.
The track is deteriorated.
But from here on down, the speed just vanished from the sled.
He's 3 kilometers down to Friedrich. Well, that's his experience driving the sled, too.
Yeah, but the uphill, it went away. So, a great start to the competition for Bruce Tasker from Great Britain. Next up is Chris Springer, Canada, 6th in the two-man competition in the Worlds last year. But look, he's still got that knee brace on from when he landed in Europe after Christmas. His knee locked out. So Alex Kopax is going to have to do more than his fair share of the work here, his brakeman.
Alex says he's the healthiest he's been since last August.
Yeah.
Really feels good, and he is a powerful-looking athlete. Let's see what the Springer and Team Springer can do here.
Kopax came into the season late, the former shot putter.
8th best, not bad. 12th best start, 8th best velocity. And Springer, 3rd place at one of the North American races. And since then, he's struggled.
I think he's the only former cricketer in the field, born in Darwin, Australia, to Australian and Filipino parents. Now,
114 is good speed.
70.8, that's right in around top 10 run. So he's hopping around the 10.
Action down there in the labyrinths.
Teammate Justin Cripps 2nd, Nick Polagnato 8th for Canada. Where is the Springer going to be? Around the dozen, just in front of Stephen Holcomb in 12th place. Well, that's not a bad opening run either for Chris Spring, given how late he was relative to his teammates.
I'll tell you, the most impressive run today for me is from Cripps.
Yeah.
Started 11th, he's ended up 2nd. Everybody else, you know, has had better starts than him. You know, start draws. Watch the sled here. There's a violent action here on the sled.
Yeah.
Look at the. No, not really.
Well, it gets bumped on the right, which you don't often see there. Take a look here. Just gets too much of that right-hand curve.
Look at the bottom right or back right runners airborne. Look at then the transition. He had runners in the air, 2 different places. That's friction.
Well, there's the Springer, looking relatively happy with himself. Next up, Oskars Malbardis, our reigning 4-man world champion. Had his first race win a week ago. Make that 2 weeks ago now. Yanis Strenger behind him.
Doesn't have his long-time bodyguard, Dom Striskins.
Well, Driskins isn't racing in the two-man. Strenger is faster at the moment than Driskins, who, like Melbardis, came out of injury in last summer.
483. This is the start record holder of 77. Friedrich got to win 100th of it in the first run. Third best velocity off the third best start. And I asked Oskars after his back surgery, first part of the season, he said he was 60%, which was January. Yep. Now he says 90, 95.
Yeah, well, in the opening ceremony the other night, he was saying maybe 85.
It was his birthday, the opening ceremony. What a great opening ceremony through here, too.
Whole crowd singing happy birthday to him. He didn't sing back, though. I don't think he knows any Bavarian drinking songs. We'll teach him one.
Well, this is an uphill section, top 3.
What a great run.
In there. This shows he's going to really challenge here.
Yes, he is. And this is the two-man. Don't forget, he's the defending four-man world champion. Again, he lost ground right at the end of the run. Same as Bruce Tasker, not as dramatically.
There's only 1300ths out of silver. But boy, there's 8 sleds separated by 900ths. It's easy math when you look at 42, 44, 45, 45, 47, 48, 49, 50.
Well, 2 tenths takes you from silver to 12th place, to 14th place, I beg your pardon.
Okay, from the back.
The acceleration these guys get. And Janis Strenger is the fittest brakeman in the Latvian team at the moment, but he didn't quite get in with the power step he wanted. Damas Driskins will be in the four-man. Talked to him in training. He said, no, I'm not doing two-man. Janis is quicker. Well, next up, for the second time in succession, a free let into the World Championships for junior world champion Richard Olsner, the 22-year-old with 19-year-old rookie brakeman Alexander Schuller. This is not only his first World Championships, he's only done half a dozen races.
Germany, because they got that junior world champ, they got a 4-sled in the field.
And that's when we saw Friedrich twice. He got a bye as well as the junior world champion.
And he came in and won the event.
Second time, he won it outright in separate.
Boy.
Well, Olsner with a real rookie mistake there on the bend away.
A track that he's very familiar with. Nice lines there in the labyrinth.
But you think he's nervy?
He's not the junior world champion of four-man. It's another German athlete we'll see next week.
Double junior two-man world champion.
So this is 20.
If he gets a top 20 run at the end of the first heat, he'll be happy.
Coaches look on. They look like that. That was Sepp Dostetler, the pilot from around here. Junior development coach for the Germans. Couple-time Olympic appearances for Sepp Dostetler. And here, he was going to say to his driver, what did you do? This is as bad on that section of the track as we've seen from anybody.
See, that's the one you have in your nightmares, not the one when you're visualizing yourself down the track.
Not
Got
the first
away
tee. Not the
from
first
Richard Olsner. Francesco Friedrich, Justin Cripps, Johannes Lochner and Oskars Kiebermanis ahead of Melbardis. Now that is an interesting top half dozen in the first heat of the two-man World Championships. Lots of sleds to get through. We've got 21 down out of 36. 22nd sled. First time on camera this season for Nick Cunningham. Lost out.
He was in Whistler, four-man.
Oh, he was indeed. Yes, he was. That was his World Cup race. Lost out in the team trials to Cody Basque, but now as the North America's Cup champion has more overall points, and so he earns a third spot in the World Championships. And 494, that's a good getaway, he and Adrian Adams.
600's better than Holcomb. You know, he's going to have to get a 15th or 16th spot here to guarantee himself being the top 20 for the second run.
I was talking to him the other day and he said, you know what, the year I've just spent in America's Cup, not only did he win lots of races, lots of podium finishes, he said, so much pressure-free environment. It's possibly the most fun year I've ever had sliding. And when you bring that mentality to the race, then you've got a chance of producing the goods.
Well, he's in 20th spot, so I don't know if he's going to have a chance. There's some pretty good people coming up right behind him. 19th, 20th, 81, 100th behind his teammate Justin Olsen, who's in 19th.
Again, you know, 100th, 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 100th. We actually didn't spot, we got a tie further back as well between Kim of Korea and Zalims of Latvia. They're tied to the 100th, just in front of this battle.
Well, yeah, talk about the S's, this Disney ride, as I call it. 4 S's, you got to be so perfect in your exit and entries
Hasn't raced on this track for a season, but he was 15th in last year's Worlds, Nick Cunningham. Maxim Andrianov didn't compete in last year's World Championships. He was 18th here in January, the former luge slider. He was 13th in the two-man in 2015. That is his only World Championship start to date. 30-year-old Kirill Antuk, 4th in the World Championships. This is rather his 4th World Championships. The veteran brakeman on the back gets in so softly.
Deliberate. At the 21st at the start, 21st at velocity. Look at that drift.
Yeah. Whoa! That's the first error we've seen into the S's.
That's one hit. Gets through the bend away 2, 3, 4 hits. Not the norm. 114.1 is one of the better speeds we've seen from the last 6-8 sleds. 65 back. He's sentenced to beyond the 20 mark unless he finds some kind of German shortcut here in the bottom. 21st.
Nice run through the labyrinth.
Good speed.
Closing a little on the Americans in front of him and just behind Nick Cunningham. So Cunningham, in fact, 1100ths in front of Maxim Andrianov.
So it's so important to make the top 20 because they go 20-1 in the second run, then 21 to the end. So you want to have fresh ice. And Cunningham, I don't think Cunningham's going to stay there.
Cunningham and Olsen, 20th and 19th. We've got a few quick guys coming up.
They'll be the first guys down with fresh ice to watch this mistake up at the top.
Yeah.
This is what cost him his placing because he had good speed. Look at that. Boy, that's a drift that worth at least 10, 1500s, 10 more hundreds. He would have been at 17th.
Well, here's a real top 20 threat. You wouldn't have said that maybe a year ago. 26 in Eagles, Dominic Dvorak. But this year, he has been exceptional. Didn't race here in January. He was at the Junior Worlds, still only 24. And his 27-year-old brakeman, Jakub Nosek.
6th in Eagles 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
This track's not Eagles, though.
No, but they have got a big start. He's a 10-900-meter runner, Dominic Dvorak.
483, 484 potential here from these Czech athletes.
489,
surprised at that. Surprised. They should have been 18th best velocity.
Yeah.
They should be better than that. Now, his result in Eagles was related to a top 5 start. And, of course, Eagles
got an early start, got good ice.
A little easier to get down.
But we've seen him drive so well this season. He's really broken out.
112.9. Probably the 19th best speed.
On the fringe of a top 10.
Yep. 42 back.
Okay, now this is where the speed goes away, out of echo.
He should be okay. He should be 17th or so.
Yeah, but we've seen Sleds drop 6 or 8 places. He's gone down from 11th to 17th
24th
now.
best speed.
And he is 17th at the line.
Yeah. So there goes Nick Cunningham out of the mix. Justin Olsen from the United States now in the bubble. Dvorak with a suspect start time. I thought they would be better, and maybe in the next 3 heats we will see a better time.
You see the expression there. They're wondering where the speed went as well. Down at the bottom of the track. Didn't make big mistakes. The bottom of the track is pretty soft at the moment.
Well, crossover there. These pictures in the back end of the sled. Ooh, nice.
You
nice
might
lines.
not be surprised to learn that their sponsor is a graphics company.
Nice looking kit.
And another youngster here who's really stepped up this season, Monaco's Rudy Rinaldi. Dvorak have been really revelationary this season.
Yeah, one of the heats of practice. This young Monegasque put in the 3rd best time in practice. Yes, it's practice, as his coach said, but still, bring it up.
492, not their fastest start, 16th best. They were 20th in last year's two-man World Championship, but he was 14th here 3 weeks ago. Not a great start, George.
Monaco's best ever finish in the World Championships here in 2004. Patrice Serville, Sebastian Gattuso. So Monaco knows how to come down this track fast. Their 4th place shocked a lot of people.
Boris Van, his 4th World Championship, the brakeman. His first was in St. Moritz in 2013 when he was a brakeman for Patrice Serville.
This is pretty good. Yeah. This is great lines.
Always good lines. 16th at the start. He's up to 14th on the splits, and at the line
15th.
he holds 15th position.
Let's look at there's Bruno Menjean on the left, Max Robert, former world champions in '99, those two, and Olympic bronze medalist in Nagano in '98.
Little sigh of relief there from Bruno Menjean. Yes, he's got a first run out of the way. He's disappointed with the time at the bottom because
it's okay. He's going to move up in the second run. He's going to have better ice to work with.
That was a clean run.
So to start, well, he's got this beast on the back, Boris. Look at his head. Watch the ice come up. Now watch the ice is getting soft. Now look at his spikes are digging up.
It's warm and humid out.
Of course, you're a 245-pound guy. You will dig up the ice.
And they'll be competing in the four-man as well, at which he is getting even better. 25 sleds down. This is sled 26 of 36. And the second Korean sled, this is Yoongjin Suk, 26-year-old. Only one World Championship appearance in Samoritz in 2013. He was then a brakeman for Yoongjin Won. 25-year-old brakeman Jihan Oh raced in the World Championship here last year as well with Won.
Well, he's got a start deficiency. He's got a cut-up track. And he's got a drift. Those first straightaway, way high in the first S.
He's only had one World Cup race in his career, Suk, and that was as a four-man driver.
This is the worst lines we've seen there. Look at him do the correction of the runners and got the sled straightened back out. The worst speed we've seen of all our sleds so far.
8200s back in 26th position from 26th in the start draw.
So we have a tie for 19th place right now. Those two guys are on the bubble. No, they got a chance. No, they got a chance. They'll be tied for 20th. They got one more sled to beat them.
Don't forget, it is a four-heat race. We don't cut the field until the fourth and final heat. So what John's referring to is that the top 20 after heat one are reversed for the start draw of heat two. So we go 20 down to one and then 21 on through the rest of the field.
Well, this is when he's just thinking about those S's. And and then he climbs so high in the first S. Look at way up near the roof.
Yeah.
Now he's got to steer hard to come over. He'll never come through the S's that bad. And then down here, he's still fighting it. Yeah, those S's, you screw up the first one, you'll never get out of there clean.
Very, very much a rookie driver. There's Coach Ivo Danilewicz, himself a European Championship medalist. Now for Poland, Maciej Luty, another young man who's coming on strongly this year. 24th in last year's Worlds. He was 16th here 3 weeks ago in the two-man race.
Late draw, but, you know. 18th, best start, and the velocity. Well, you know, when you have this type of negative start, you don't really have a great chance here in the cut-up track.
Well, this is the first track he ever raced a bobsled on in the Europa Cup back in 2011.
Boy, he went from 21 to 20 to 18th spot. Let's see the speed. 112. Well, he's hanging in there.
And he's giving himself a chance of better ice.
Doing very well
for the second heat. We'll get 2 heats today, 2 heats on Sunday to round out the two-man competition.
24th speed. Oh, I don't know. 19th, he's right on the bubble.
Might be in 20th place at the line.
18th,
he's 18th at the line, ahead of Dominic Dvorak. So Rinaldi 15th, Luty 18th, Dvorak 19th, 3
and we have a tie for 20th.
Guns.
We have 2 guys, so we'll have 21. If this stays like this, we'll have 21 guys in the field in the second run. And I think we got at least one more pilot.
We might have another one or two who've got a shot at getting in there.
One for sure. Brad Hall from Great Britain with Sam Blanchette.
Well, there's our top 5. But we're looking now at who's going to get a good first heat. Top of the track is Ivo de Bruin for the Netherlands. The 30-year-old now lives in Calgary. His wife will be sliding for Canada later on this morning. And Jeroen Pick, 26-year-old former brakeman for Edwin van Kalker, hasn't raced since he missed out on the Olympic team for 2014 and came back to ice last week for the first time.
Yeah, they had a big push competition in Holland, generated a lot of publicity. Great to see it. I mean, we got to find a way to get the Dutch in these competitions. The Dutch, Edwin van Kalker, he won a medal on this track. 2013.
Yeah.
So the Dutch are good.
Pick was on the team that finished 4th in Lake Placid in 2012 as well.
The start, not very good, 27th best start. But watch here in the Labyrinths, their brakes were dragging in practice. Let's watch the back of the sled here.
I'm sure Tom Delahunty will have made sure that there is no repeat of that.
We told Tom, he said, what?
An absolute perfectionist.
The brakes go down a couple times. There's a little bungee cord problem with the brakes.
16th best speed, but 24th, 23rd, 24th at the line. But he outdrove his start there.
Yeah.
27th fastest start with a 5:02. Only one slow, which was a 5:04.
1600ths out of the cut.
Yeah.
It wasn't smooth up top, which he needs to be.
He's got 2 more trips to make himself a top 20 candidate. And that's the first competitive start with your own pick since 2014.
That wasn't very good exit out of the S's for an experienced pilot like Ivo de Bruin.
Second Italian sled. And this is 22-year-old youngster Patrick Baumgartner. First World Championships for him. He's only had 3 World Cup races in 2-man. Constantino Ugi, his brakeman, is just 25, but this is actually his 4th World Championships, the man from Bologna. I think he's the only judoka in the field as well.
Well, they got good-looking kit.
Yeah. These 2 guys are young and fast. Baumgartner's still only 22, 5:04. They're going to need more at the start to make an impression anywhere, aren't they?
Teammate.
Only 3 World Cup races in the 2-man under his belt, Baumgartner, so he's really in the foothills of experience. Batazzo is 27th, and they are 28th at the moment on the splits.
Tough to do when you have a deficient start. You're starting late, track's cut up.
70.8, decent speed in the Kreisel. Everybody's been 70.8, 0.9, 71 miles an hour. But the portion of the track here is where the speed is all going away. Only 22nd on the speed clocks, 28th at the line. 28th at the line, he is just behind Simone Batazzo, his teammate. They are 27th and 28th. And their paths are just about to cross, aren't they? As Batazzo continues to sag and Baumgartner continues to improve. And I think we are at the crossover point now. In a year, Baumgartner will be ahead of Batazzo on a regular basis. Just purely because he's going to learn how to drive these tracks a little better.
Those weren't bad lines.
Yeah. And in fact, his start, 5:04, I said there was only one other 5:04. I'm betting that was Batazzo's crew. It was. Next up, Markus Treichel for Austria, 23-year-old former luger. This is his first 2-man, beg your pardon, no, it's his second 2-man World Championships, 27th in Eagles Austria last year.
And this sled is a Great Britain sled, so rented from the British.
I should have my stickers on it still. So the Austrians, Franz Esterhammer is brakeman, a national team player in rugby for Austria.
Played a little American football too.
Markus Treichel, I said earlier, his first international race, Junior Worlds here in Königssee. In the 4-man, Benny Meyer was one of his brakemen. So Treichel was a bobsledder before Benny Meyer was.
Struggling at the start.
26th position, he's going to be ahead of junior world champion Richard Olsner. No, slipping out to 28th amongst the Italians. And at the line, 28th ahead of Baumgartner and behind Batazzo. So Markus Treichel splits the Italians.
Well,
for so many of these young men, John, it's about the experience, getting those nerves out of the way of being a world championship.
You had to feel good about getting a hold of this good piece of equipment.
Yeah. Francesco Friedrich leads the field by a big margin. Who's going to take medals? Well, anyone in the top 15 or 20 sleds right now has got a shot. Second of the sleds from the Czech Republic, Jan Verber. Last year, he did 2 runs in the first day of competition, didn't continue in the 2-man race. Two-time Olympian. This is his 6th World Championships.
Doesn't get the starts that his teammate Dvorak gets. First best start, 496. 22nd with the velocity.
Dvorak started 489. Dominic Succi, a veteran now of 10 years of sliding in his 5th World Championships.
Good lines. He's got the talent. Eyes in the hands. Oh! Then I jinxed him.
See what you did there?
Sorry.
He's certainly going to have more opportunity in the 4-man where he's got 3 more horses. But very wavy Kreisel gets the line he wants on the exit.
24th at the splits. Watch the
21st start.
Track down here. You know, it's a lower elevation down on the bottom, so it's softer. Boy, the track gets cut up, and there's no speed after the 10 sleds come down. 27th. Wow.
600s faster than Marcus Treichel of Austria that we've just seen, so he's in a really tight battle as well. Tied for 24th, Ivo de Bruyne, Maxim Andrianov, 300s behind Richard Olsner, 100th behind him, Jan Verber, tied with Simone Bertazzo. So that's 5 sleds in 300ths of a second.
This is a good example of how not to do it.
That might have been one of the ugliest bendaways we've seen. Verber will be kicking himself for that. Plastic Bertrand, famously Belgian. I might need to go and tell the DJ about that. Is the walk-on music for the French, Loïc Costergue and Dorian Hauteville. Dorian, a newcomer to the team, sprinter from Lyon. And Loïc Costergue, born in La Plagne, lives now in Moutier, a little further down the mountain.
Yeah, he'll give up some time if he gets 498, probably as we expect.
Missed the cut in the 2-man here 3 weeks ago. He was 21st in the field. It was a big field. He'll do better in the 4-man.
He'll drive well. His brakeman carried the flag into the opening ceremonies for France the other night, and what a great job the Germans did with a month, 5 weeks notice of the World Championships to pull off an event like that. And I've seen 30 straight opening ceremonies, and that's one of the best I've ever seen.
And always a big crowd on hand here. Yesterday's rain didn't keep them away. Even bigger crowd today because it's a Saturday, nobody at work. Dorian Hauteville, the brakeman, by the way, 6 races in his career, just 6.
French will do much better in the 4-man.
And the only time he's been on the back of a 2-man sled was here in January. 50.09, they come across the line in 26th spot, just ahead of Richard Olsner, right behind Maxim Andrianov. So remember that little gap where I said there was 6 sleds covered by 300s? There's now 7. A massive battle going on all the way up and down this field. That's one of the things, not only we've got a huge field here, but this track habitually produces really close races. Lots of ties, lots of battles of 100th or 200ths of a second. Here's another sled that might be in a titanic battle. Bradley Hall from Great Britain, 26-year-old from Chichester in Sussex, now lives in Crawley. And Sam Blanchet behind him, the 24-year-old born in Quebec, in Montreal rather, and a former rugby player at Sevens for England and Exeter Chiefs. He's an engineering graduate from Exeter University.
Might be the last guy to get into the top 20. Should get some good starts, should be low 90s.
Well, Brad Hall no longer wearing that protective glove on his right hand. He severed all the tendons across the back of his hand in a practice crash early in the season. He still can't form a fist and is struggling to hang on to the push bar, but he can hold the D-rings. 16th fastest start.
9th velocity, so good for Sam Blanchet. Nice 2 hits, that's pretty good there.
115th on the split.
113.7 is decent speed, especially this late in the heat. He's hanging in there. 18th, it's down 8th. Ooh, he was real squared up there in the 3rd labyrinth into the Kelstein curve.
Looking at trying to find a top 10 run out of this track. 23rd place, speed is all sagging away at the bottom of the run, unfortunately.
Surprised that fell away that quick.
Again, that bump through the lower labyrinth took the speed edge off the sled. 24th place for Brad Hall, shakes his head as he comes into the finish. He's 800s behind Nick Cunningham, 300s ahead of Ivo de Bruyne.
1300s out of the cut.
Yeah.
And that squared up down here. When I say squared up, a sled gets front end, back end hits, and it gets squared. straight, looking at the curve, look at the airborne of the runners, and then bang, he's got to have more friction onto that Kelstein curve, and that slowed him down some. I don't know how much.
Well, didn't need to be much in this field, did it?
Rookie.
A rookie, a World Cup debutant, 18-year-old Mihai Tentea from Romania. 4th in the Youth Olympic Games in 2016 in Lillehammer in the boys monobob. And 27-year-old veteran Florian Kraswin. His brakeman is a 2-time Olympian. He's had 5 World Championship appearances, the first of which was here back in 2011 behind Nicolae Estrate, and the Romanian 2-man sled finished 8th in that World Championships. You forget that sometimes Nicolae Estrate drove like the wind.
Well, he outstarted Holcomb by 100. This is not good. Youngest guy in the field, and he's showing it. Great Romanian coaches, I'm sure, are just cringing.
Well, he's predominantly driven monobobs for his career up until this season.
Good start.
He won a couple of races in the Omega-sponsored Youth Series and then finished strongly in 4th place in the Youth Olympic Games in Lillehammer. But this is the first year he's been in a full-sized bobsled. And neat lines, comes across the line with 50.63. And for him, at just 18 years of age, this is all about experience.
Well, he made some critical errors in that bend away. 4 or 5 sleds have gone sideways down there, and he's one of them.
2nd year of driving, 1st year in 2-seater sleds, and the first World Championships. Boy, talk about thrown in off the high board at the deep end.
Well, this is not how to get down the bob track skidding like that, and that's experience. And, you know, I mean, it's difficult.
Imagine the nerves in an 18-year-old kid.
Yeah, look at this. I mean, this is what this track can do. This is not Eagles. This is a challenge.
And a shot like that just reminds you how hard this is, despite how easy some of the good guys make it look. Next up, a very quick away from the start for Vuk Radjanovic, 33-year-old from Serbia. 22-year-old young brakeman Stefan Vujanic, new to the team this season.
Boy, the brakeman's sitting up real high. Look, you can see the brakeman's shoulders, Adidas stickers. You know, you shouldn't see him at all.
Radjanovic's first World Championships was in Altenburg in 2008.
Good lines, but you know, he's got the 35th best start.
He was 28th in the 2-man worlds last year in Eagles. His best 2-man performance in the World Championships, 25th in Lake Placid 2012. He will be better in the 4-man.
He's got to tell him about that brake that he's getting differently in that sled. You've got to adjust that seat for him because he's no speed when you're sitting up in the sled like that.
Yep. Well, 0.03 of a second slower than 18-year-old Mihai Tentea of Romania. So an Eastern European battle shaping up there. Rookie Suk of Korea is 33rd, Tentea, the debutant, 34th, Radjanovic 35th.
Well, this section of the track is called the graveyard because you don't see it, but it goes steeply uphill right there. You tap the wall there and you got that uphill. Well, in a gravity sport, there's not a lot of gravity assisting you when you're going uphill hitting the wall.
That's for sure. Well, finally, we get to the final sled in the first of 4 heats of the 2-man bobsleigh World Championships. This is 31-year-old Croatian Drazen Silic with 35-year-old Mate Metsulic behind him. Drazen is a school teacher, Metsulic an engineer, so this is definitely a part-time team. Silic started as a brakeman. He did a couple of World Championships behind Ivan Sola. This is his 3rd as a driver, though. His first World Championships with Ivan Sola was here in 2011.
Well, just basic, as you say, part-time athletes, just basic nice guy. He comes out, doesn't ask for much help, does everything, you know, working on nickels and dimes. I'm sure it's his own money.
Yeah, competing proudly for their nation. And he's only made 4 World Cup starts as a driver, but has got experience in the European tracks. That's where he does all his racing in the European Cup.
Good lines there. Really, as good as it gets. Probably 110 speed, 113 speeds, pretty good speed.
70.6 miles an hour, that's right in the middle of the field. Now, what can he bring down at the bottom? Nice looking lines through the lower labyrinth. Speed at the start, 36 at the start. Means
27 speed, that's not bad.
he might overhaul Radjanovic. Does he at the line? He does not. So he is in 36 position. And he will be last to go in the second heat as well, which comes up shortly.
Surprised, because the speed, 113 speed, was impressive there in the
Too
Kreisel.
much of a gap, though, to the front runners. So, Drazen Cilic and this tiny Croatian team. The last of our sleds to go. You can see the race suit, his shoulders is ripped a couple of places. It's had a few trips down the ice upside down over the years.
Brakeman gets in there, good aerodynamic profile. Dragon?
Yeah. Nice stuff from Croatia. Our front runner, though, is, as we expected, the three-time defending world champion Francesco Friedrich, going for his fourth straight. He leads by 2900ths from Justin Cripps of Canada, Johannes Lochner of Bavaria in third, and the medals are still anyone's to take. But Friedrich is not in the habit of letting things go.
He's 100 out of the start record. Not far away from the downtime record either.
300s from the track record. So Francesco Friedrich, I'm not sure the track's going to get quicker, but Cripps, what a first run from him. Last Canadian to take a World Championship medal was his teammate Lyndon Rush, silver behind Stephen Holcomb in 2012. Cripps could be in the podium positions again at the end of the day, and that will give him a great boost for tomorrow. Well, looking all the way down our order, we still have that tie for 20th, so 21 sleds. Uga Zalims will be first off in the reverse top 20. Zalims and Kim will both get the reverse. Then we'll go all the way down to the leader, following whom will be Justin Olsen, Nick Cunningham, Bradley Hall, Ivo de Bruyn, and the rest of our field. No crashes. We had one crash in the women's race yesterday. In the first heat, we lost our fourth seed, Nadezhda Segova of Russia. But the men's two-man field made it down entirely safely. It is moist. It is moderately warm. Who is going to come out with the best time in the second heat? Has anybody got what it takes to close the gap to our defending champion, Francesco Friedrich? Only one way to find out. Join John Morgan, me, Martin Haven, and the rest of the IBSF TV crew when we come back with the second heat live from Königssee in Bavaria.